All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Workbench, your resource rich weekly podcast and newsletter. I'm super excited to be joined today by Joshua Thompson. He's the founder of Bright Beam SEO. It is a leading SEO company focused on helping local businesses rank on Google Maps, Google Search, in the AI, LLM tools, ChatGPT, SEO, all of that great stuff. So, really excited to dive into his background and then get into the tactics of what's working, what's not, and how you can drive new leads for your local business through SEO. Joshua, thanks so much for coming on. And for people that do not know you or may not, be familiar with your business, could you give us a little intro and then we'll dive in from there?
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, focusing on local SEO, kind of found my way here after doing SEO for a decade. It just kind of happened into local. And then I've really focused on that, which I think is a great place to be right now, especially with all the changes happening.
Love it. And so for folks that want to know more about the details, what exactly is it that you do for local businesses?
Yeah. So, I focus on Google Maps and Google search for local. Um, and and we can get into it, but with AI, right, that's kind of included in that as well. Yeah, look, I that's all I do. I just do SEO. I just do local with a big focus on Google Maps and then also on the local search aspect. I don't do anything else. Uh, I've just found in today's world it's better to get really, really good at one thing than to do a lot of things. And so I've cut everything else off. And, I like home service businesses for the most part, but anything local I do, but I do a lot of roofers, HVAC, plumbing, gutters. That's a lot of the businesses that I work with.
Yeah. And what's the focus, right? Is it, hey, how do I get more clicks to my website? Is it how do I get my Google business profile to rank higher? Is it Google ads? I guess what are the core things a local service business can do on Google to get more business?
Yeah. So my whole thing is targeted, right? That's the word I like to use, right? It's not about getting, you know, ranking well and or getting more traffic from things that don't matter, right? It's about targeting what matters and then focusing on those areas and getting more leads from qualified sources, right? Another way to say it is bottom of the funnel. I want to find people who are looking for the service today, right? And they want to get an estimate as soon as possible, right? That to me is the best type of client. So I want to focus my effort in areas that move the needle, that make money, right? That's kind of my approach here is just, what's going to make money. But SEO is a net, right? Not a spear. You're going to be catching people that are looking generally for your service. I'm looking to move up in the rankings. Yeah, of course. But, if you're a generalist, really meaning some businesses get really, really, direct with who they serve, right? So if you only serve like if you only work with like dentists or something specific like that, or you only work with a certain specific type of house roof, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. I think more in the net, right? If you help somebody who needs a roof or somebody who needs plumbing, that's where I think SEO is best suited to help.
What are some of those things that someone who's listening and may not be quite ready to engage an agency, and they're like, hey, I just want to do the basics myself. What are those basic things a new, let's say, roofing business? Or let's use something smaller because I feel like roofing businesses are usually, let's say I open up a pressure washing business. I got a truck, I got a pressure washer, and I want to get more leads from Google. What are those couple things I can start doing today to help that make that happen?
Yeah. So I break this down. Look, this is the October method. That's how I like to say it. OCTBR, October. Optimize content, backlinks, reviews. And the content is targeted content. That's where that OCT comes in, right? So this is just a really simple method, kind of a framework to use to think, how do I rank higher on Google Maps and Google local search? Optimization comes first. This is really the thing most businesses can do if you're not optimized, meaning, your name, your categories, your description, all those, fields on your Google business profile, and then matching those up with your website, that can really hold you back. So you want to make sure that that's all in place. Then content, right, is basically just, it might be a little difficult to just do on your own, but you can probably think, what are people searching for? And how do I align my targeting on my website pages, and in my content to target those searches for a pressure washer, right? People are probably searching for pressure washer in my city, right? That is a great place to start by just having that be your target with your page on your website and targeting that kind of information within your Google business profile, right? So that's the content part, the targeting. Then it's just backlinks and reviews, right? And if you're just looking for maps and to rank better on maps, then backlinks aren't going to be as big of a factor. It's just really going to boil down to reviews. Now there's a lot that can go into a review, how long they are, if people are adding images, who's giving the review. But for the most part, that's the one thing to me you can't get later. It's difficult to get a review from a year ago or 2 years ago. So even if everything isn't perfect, if you can stack reviews and keep getting reviews and make that a point of focus, you're going to get benefit. And then if you add these kind of things later as you're seeing that benefit, you can really take it to the next level. So if I'm a business owner and I'm saying, what's the one thing I can do? Reviews. Get reviews, and keep getting reviews.
Yeah, no, for sure. In terms of the website and getting that ranked, do you see that as important here in 2025, or is that just kind of an afterthought?
It's more expensive, but it really, to me, it comes down to the business. What's your market like, and what is your cost per lead going to be?
Mm,
If it costs you more per lead to get those search leads, but it's still cheaper than LSA, Google Ads, Facebook, right? Then yeah, it's worth it, right? It's just, to me, it's always comes down to what's our cost per lead and our return on our investment, right? So, and this is where AI is pulling from too. So if you're like, I need to be an AI, then search is a lot of that game, right? Is ranking on search. That's where AI is basically, instead of doing one search, doing 10 searches and looking at the map and then compiling that information. So if you're worried about the AI change, then yeah, you want to be focused on search. But then once again, if you're in a big market, there's probably a lot of room to grow there. In fact, I would say that it's getting to the point where some markets might be cheaper to rank on search than maps per lead, because you have some players with 1,000, 10,000 reviews,
yeah,
right?
that's tough. Yeah.
And it gets to a point where, hey, you actually might get a quicker benefit from search, even if the volume isn't going to be as high as
Yeah.
maps.
Now, when it comes to ranking in AI, I feel like it's still a black box. And I know for my software company, we've started to get a few leads there thanks to work my co founder's doing, getting content, getting the same piece of content posted on LinkedIn, the website, guest posts, YouTube, and kind of Reddit, and having all that consistent. From a local business perspective, what are some things, or what are some ways to get ranked in those LLMs and ChatGPT results?
Yeah. Well, and for a national business, it's a different game because there's so many, questions and answers and stuff like that. But for local businesses, here's the big change, right? This was something we talked about a long time ago when we thought Alexa and voice chat was going to change the world. It didn't, but now it kind of is with AI. And what I
Yeah.
mean is, it's not it's that the search changes. The way that it is approached changes. So you need to rank for different keywords, right? So now instead of saying plumber in Boise, I'm going to say into AI, hey, who are the top 3 plumbers in Boise, right? So the way now all AI does is go and do 10 variations of that search. So it might search for top in Boise, best in Boise, and go through some reviews or whatever. You can literally ask the AI, what did you just search to do this? And it'll give you the list, right? So that plus maps and then being compiled. So what's important right now for AI is to rank, but to rank for these keywords in a way that's the natural difference, the way that people approach this differently, ranking for those keywords. And then, if you have a lot of authority and you can rank for 5, 6, 7 of those variations, then you're probably going to be higher up, right? Because it's a compilation. It's not just ranking for one keyword. It's being a big player in this kind of randomization of searches that get compiled together. And Maps is a part of that. I think Maps is going to become a bigger part of that over time because it is so important. But really that's the game for AI right now.
Yeah. When it comes to getting good reviews, what are the benchmarks of like good reviews that actually matter for SEO? Are all reviews the same, or are there tips for getting reviews that actually move the needle with SEO?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. And you can actually learn a lot about this if you go and start doing reviews, because when you go start reviewing other people, you'll see that Google actually gives you points on your profile, your local guide profile, as you do reviews. So if the review has more than 200 characters, Google gives you a bonus on the reviewer side it makes it like a game, right? If you add images, so those things are directly related then on the other side of the reviews that you get, right? So if you get reviews that have content, especially that have over that 200 characters, right? The, the keywords, the words, the searches, the services, the cities, if you can get people to include those in reviews. Pictures in reviews are huge. And in fact, right now, Google tends to boost your reviews that have pictures. I'll just a little caveat. I saw a roofing company, what they've been doing, this is genius. They're actually getting drone pictures of the houses that are really nice and then giving them to the customer to post in the reviews. So so they have like 5 reviews at the very top of their profile that all have these amazing drones. So that kind of creativity is helpful. But yeah, pictures in reviews, length, keywords, and then it's a little bit out of your control, but the accounts themselves, right? If somebody has 1 or 2 reviews, that's all they've done. It's not going to be as impactful as somebody who's a local guide. They have a higher level score and they're more involved on the platform. That's going to help boost that as well. And then I'll say real quick, velocity. So velocity means how many reviews have you gotten recently over the last 1 to 3 months? Don't think that just because you have less of a review number, you can't start outranking competitors. Google likes recency. So if you can start getting on average more reviews than your competitors every month, over time, that's going to be huge because you're going to have a higher velocity, which is also a really important metric. And then just your overall score and the total number of reviews you have. You want to keep it over a 4.5, 4.7. That's obviously going to be important. And I just want to add this.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's always customers, right? You can always just say, what do customers like? If you have 50 reviews and your competitor has 5,000, Google isn't penalizing you because they think you're bad. They just know that customers are going to like the 5,000, right? So you can always just say, what are customers going to like? And if you do those things better than your competitors, you're going to get rewarded. That's all that Google's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What are big mistakes that you see companies make when they're trying to maybe do SEO for their businesses? Are there any big watchouts that people can kind of get ahead of?
Yeah. Number one is as dumb as it sounds, your categories. If you don't have the right category, especially your primary category, you won't rank for those keywords. And I see that all the time. Number two is tinkering with your name. People go in, they change their name a little bit. They change their name, they add LLC, they take LLC out, they add an S, they take an S out, right? They capitalize something. Every time you mess with your name, you risk getting suspended. So these people end up suspending their profile and having this and have to go through all this work to get it back. And it's such a hassle. Google takes your name very seriously. So do not mess with your name. It's too risky. There's backdoor ways to do it if you have to do it, but don't go in and tinker with your name. And then I would just say like getting lost in the secondaries. I'm a big fan of the Pareto principle, right? 80-20 rule, that 80% of what you do is going to have, or 20% of what you do is going to have 80% of the effect. So look, things like website speed and schema and answer engine optimization and all of this stuff, yeah, it can help a little, but that is not the primary. These are not the primary drivers of success. So don't get lost thinking there's some little tiny technical tweak that if you make to your site, boom, you're going to shoot up to the top. It really comes down to the bulk being backlinks for search, reviews for maps, and as long as your optimization is done correctly, those are going to drive success more than anything else.
Joshua, super insightful. Anything we didn't cover here that you wanted to get to today?
I mean, I can go in depth on any of these, but I think we talked about the reviews and what makes reviews. That I think is a big thing people don't discuss enough. So I think that's really helpful for local businesses. And then if you need backlinks and you're looking to get backlinks, you can always just reach out to people in your area and see if you can get backlinks from their website. It can be very helpful and not take you very much time to do if you're looking to give yourself a boost for, very, very little effort. Something I don't think a lot of business owners consider, but could be a really good way to benefit your business for, like I said, not a lot of time invested.
Yeah. And you can swap them too, right? Like I can give you a backlink, you can give me one, and then both people benefit from that, right?
Yeah, potentially. Sometimes that can cancel each other out. So
Uh,
if you can get one without it, then great. But if not, yeah, like getting the swap is better than not getting anything at all, for sure.
Josh, yeah, really appreciate it for folks that are listening and maybe want to connect with you personally on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, or check out your services. What's the best way for them to check you out online?
Yeah, just go to brightbeamseo.com. You can get everything there. I've actually been working on a local SEO guide, so that has a lot more in-depth information if you're just looking to do it yourself. I've been trying to make that in a way that's easy to understand and kind of step by step. So that's probably the best way to educate yourself. Otherwise, Twitter, Reddit at Brightbeam SEO.
Josh, appreciate you coming on and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.